You're listening to Drawing Success, Art, Education, and Entrepreneurship with Bette Fetter, founder and CEO of Young Rembrandts. In each episode, Bette explores the inspiring stories of franchise owners who've built successful businesses while making a difference through art education. And now, here's your host, Bette Fetter.
Hi, I'm Bette Fetter, the founder and CEO of Young Rembrandts. And today on our podcast interview, I want to introduce you to Don Eisenhauer. Don is a Young Rembrandt franchisee in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. Hello, Don.
Hello, Bette. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Great.
Tell us anything else about your territory. Where's Menomonee Falls?
Well,
Menomonee
Falls. Yeah, Menomonee Falls is a suburb just outside of Milwaukee. So I grew up in Wauwatosa, which is another suburb of Milwaukee. So didn't end up too far from where I grew up. And yeah, it's a village. Actually, we go by village. It kind of allows the area to keep its quaintness, so to speak.
That's
and it
cool.
does a really good job of that. About 35, maybe up to 40,000 people now. So yeah, it's a nice community. We've been here about 30 years.
Wow, a long time. Okay, so how long with Young Rembrandts?
Well, this is the beginning of year 14, so I'm really excited because I know everyone's got a favorite number, and mine and my wife Julie's we're both 14, so we're really expecting great things to happen this year.
All right, that's a good omen.
Yes.
So, Don, what did you do in your life before Young Rembrandts?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember. It was so long ago. So I actually was a civil engineer. Went to University of Wisconsin Platteville, and then I was in industry, water treatment industry, for about 25 years. Traveled all over the world. We treated wastewater, so it was a really nice career. Got to meet a lot of great people, do a lot of traveling, and yeah, it was great until one day I was part of a downsizing. We were purchased by another company in an acquisition, and I was part of the management team. So they said, "Been nice to know you, Don. Time for you to do something else."
Okay, so life made a change for you.
It was one of the best things, Bette, that has ever happened to me. I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, it was an unbelievable change in life for me. So
what did you do? How did you find what you wanted to do next? So here you are, you're laid off. It's a whole new. What do you want to do next? What'd you do?
Well, I was in my 40s, and I just always thought that I need to have an open mind for what the future holds. And the good Lord said, Don, you're going to do something completely different. You're not going to work with a bunch of men like you have for your entire career. You're going to work with children now. And so he led me to something that I'd never heard of. Young Rembrandts. Had never crossed paths with the company before. Didn't know anything about it. I wasn't looking to get in the field of art. I wasn't necessarily an artist. I was more left brain, or maybe whole brain, if you will. Wasn't looking to work with kids. And I had considered owning my own business, but on most days I just got up and went to work for somebody else, like we all do. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really looking to do all those things, but the path just unfolded in front of me. I call it a bunch of coincidences happened to me, which I don't believe they're coincidences, but all these things happened, and lo and behold, Young Rembrandts appeared before me. Actually, it was through a franchise consultant who I met along the way. That's one of the things that happened. And I just, when he showed me a little bit about Young Rembrandts, and along with some other opportunities, I immediately fell in love with it.
And we're so glad you did. So what was it like? It's such a shift. And I have to say, it's so interesting what your background is, because if someone had told me you're going to have franchisees in the future and they're going to come from these different fields, I would have been, was so surprised. So what is it about it that attracted you, and what is it about it that works for you?
Sure. So everything, so many wonderful things, but probably the biggest thing, having a wife who's an educator and having served on the school board in my local community and having been a very involved and active in the community at all levels, especially in the school district. I realized there was a lack of creative growth opportunities for young kids because being in industry as well, I was very familiar with metrics like the GE
Yeah.
models and all those things. And schools were becoming more like that, where they had to be able to measure everything that they were doing. And so what happens, the areas of growth that are creative, like arts and music and other things, we've all seen how those have been diminished over the years. Just in my school district alone, our district had cut like 50% of the art teachers. So I could see over time, like, this is not the direction that we need to be going, not only as a community and as a school district, but as a country and as a world. I mean, as the world develops and companies develop nowadays, because we have all the technology at our fingertips, we need more ways to grow creative minds. Everybody needs to be, I think that in any job you go into now, and I tell the kids this whenever I teach, you have to be way more creative at what you do in your career than you were 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So that's really what attracted me. And aside from that, just the fact that I could work out of my home. I had worked in an office for 25 years. I knew how to run a business. At least I felt I did. I felt I was familiar with the important things about running a business, especially how you treat people. And to work out of my home and kind of do the things that I felt were important in running a business instead of just doing them for somebody else and hoping they do the right things. That's what attracted me to, and that has all played out. It's been a wonderful 13 years, controlling my own destiny.
I'm just going to say, what a shift when you do go from corporate life, or you're working for someone else, but when you get to really be self-determined on what do you want to do with the business, and it's in your schedule, your life. How's your lifestyle now compared to working in corporate?
Sure. Well, one of the things, I have a dream book, Betty, and one of my dreams, excuse me, over the years was to, as I was working in industry, I always thought, wouldn't it be great if I could find a job where I could work in and around my community and be in a position to give more back to my community. I'm a very service-oriented person, and that's always been really important to me. And lo and behold, after I had put that dream in writing along with all my other dreams, it was transformed. It just became a reality, and it's just incredible. So this allowed me to, with Young Rembrandts and being a home-based business, I can work all morning, I can work all night, I can work whenever I want. But it allowed me to do the things outside of work that I always wanted to do. I had been doing them, but at a much lighter level. So this allowed me to really step up my involvement in the community and give back, especially to children. We do a lot of Optimist Club I'm part of, and we give back to children of all ages. And it just allowed me to have a much richer lifestyle.
I remember when we first met, and you had mentioned the Optimist Club, and I literally thought it was sort of like, I never recognized the word optimist in it. I thought it was like, Optimus Prime or something. And I went to one of your meetings. You graciously invited me, and it was wonderful. And so tell us a little bit about the Optimist Club, and you're like the poster child in personality, but I love the Optimist Club and let's make things happen. And the focus being kids and community.
Kids, children of all ages, any discipline, whether it's academics, or sports or scholarships. We kind of do it all. It's an international nonprofit company. We happen to be in Menomonee Falls, one of the largest. We're typically range from 150 to 200 active members. And we're just always giving back, whether it's a fishing derby, we're teaching kids how to fish. We're doing academic scholarship programs for junior girls in high school, giving out various scholarships. We have sporting events, just all kinds of things. But we give our time and talent to kids K through 12 in and around our community. It's a wonderful volunteer organization to be part of.
Well, and I love that yours happened in the morning, and there were all these education stakeholders able to attend these meetings. And, I think one of your gifts, along with, how you interact with your teachers and have grown your business, and that one of your other gifts is you're so present in your community, and you're so connected to other people who make things happen. That feels pretty powerful, doesn't it?
I've just always enjoyed that. I love people, and I love, I don't know, it's just been part of my DNA, if you will, since I was a young adult. I just always felt the need. I've always felt blessed with what I have received in my life, and I just always felt that I need to give back as much as possible. So it's very important. But you're right. One of the things that makes our Optimist Club extremely successful is that we partner with the school district. That's really important. The superintendent's involved. All the high school, all the principals are involved. They're not able to attend all the meetings, but we partner and do so much with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, now for Young Rembrandts, you've been at it 14 years, and you've seen a lot of changes in Young Rembrandts, but overall, so for Young Rembrandts, for anybody else who doesn't know, so we are an after-school art enrichment program. So franchisees like yourself, you connect with schools, have permission to host classes at that school, and then you hire teachers in a part-time basis to teach those classes. And then, as Young Rembrandts, we provide the curriculum and the tools and things like that. But tell me, what does your day-to-day look like? What's it like to live that out?
Well, every day is completely different. But it just depends upon the season. Like right now, for example, I have a new teacher meeting tonight where I'll be training 10 new teachers.
Oh, you got 10. Whoa.
Yep. So to start the new year, always have a need for new teachers. I got a lot of teachers that have been with me for years that are still going to be involved. But because it is such a part-time business, there is a little bit of turnover involved. And so there's always a need at the start of the new year to hire some new teachers. So I'm really involved right now in that training, building up. We're sending flyers back to the schools. Kids are registering. So each season you're doing something different. But again, every aspect of the business, whether it's sales or marketing or even teaching. When I started the business, I said to myself, I could do everything involved in this business. I can run the books. I can go sell, which I was never a salesman, but this isn't selling because I've just always had a passion. I just have to explain to them what we do and how exciting it is. And they usually say, sounds great, let's get on board. So I love all the aspects of the business. And one thing in the beginning, before I started, I didn't think I'd really be teaching. I just never gave that a strong consideration. I figured I'd be hiring others to teach. And it turns out it's one of my most, if not my most enjoyable aspects of the business. So I'm teaching tonight, this afternoon. We have an early start to one of our schools. So I'm just going to teach that one. But yeah, it just depends upon the day. Every day is totally different. Every day is just exciting to be part of this process of really not only growing creative young minds, but just helping children in any way we can. I always tell my teachers, you have 1 hour once a week to be with these little children. You don't know what kind of day they had. So please make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it the best part of their day.
Yeah.
So
I know I do love that part where young kids will be their favorite day of the week is Wednesday because it's Young Rembrandt Day or this. And, these teachers do get to feel like the rock star, this kid's waiting for me. But I love the kind of teachers that we hire. They have such a heart for art and to be able to enrich the kids that I think Young Rembrandt's teachers go kind of above and beyond with how they prepare and what they bring into the room. And it's kind of like telling you get to be the star of the show for an hour, make it really good for them.
exactly.
Yeah. Now, do you have any other help? Like, do you have, because, when you were in business ourselves, we get to choose, where the skills that suit me the best and where might I hire some part-time help here and there. So do you have other people in your team?
Yes. And, for the first maybe 3 years, I did not. And then since then, I have had an admin assistant. And quite frankly, I could do everything myself, Betty. I mean, if I wanted to put in the time,
Yeah.
I could do it all. And I have done it all. And that's when I started the business, I'm like, I have to do all these things myself initially.
To learn them
And to understand them. But since then, after about 3-4 years, I hired somebody. So I have an assistant and she works maybe 10-15 hours a week. That's about it. So an hour or two a day or so, something like
and
that.
I think that's the other part of our model that I really wanted people to understand is when you do hire help, it's not like corporate America where you're hiring full-time staff. There's just wonderful ways to bring people into the business, 5 hours here, 6 hours there.
And this was nice because when I advertised, I part of the advertisement was you can work from home and you can do this whenever you want, any time of day or night. And that's what she does. So she doesn't teach, which was by design because my first admin did teach and that kind of got in the way a little bit, but this one does not. So whether she works on things at 10 o'clock at night or at 8 in the morning, it's up to her as long as we get things accomplished and keep moving along. So it's very flexible. She loves it. She had young kids when we started out, so she could stay at home. She had another part-time job that she worked from home. So here was something else she could do from home. And it's worked out great for both of us.
Yeah. And for me, when I started Young Rembrandts, I started it because I had 4 young kids and I wanted to contribute to the family income, but I wanted to be mom first. So there are so many ways that franchisees and staff, it's such a balance. It's so possible to keep your life sane and still do something really satisfying. How do the schools, we're very mission based at Young Rembrandts, and how do you feel like the schools receive that? They kind of get it, or it's like any other program?
No, they get it. I mean, initially, when you start out something new, there's a little bit of trepidation going in because you're thinking, I hope they don't think this is taken away from something else. And then what you find out rather quickly and through the years, they love it. And the art teachers especially love it because we're complementary to what they're doing. And unfortunately, most kids are lucky if they get a half hour, 45 minutes of art a week. And so what we're doing is we're supplementing or complementing those kids by teaching them the fundamental skills of visual literacy or art. And so that's helping them when they get in the room with their main art teacher once a week.
Yeah.
They feel that these kids are even more engaged with the program because now they know how to break down a drawing into shapes and lines and letters. And it's better for the art teacher, it's better for the kids. And so we're very well received. I mean, it takes a while with anything. Some people struggle with change, even some principals struggle. But you hang around long enough, you get in, you do all the things the right way, and they have no choice but to love you eventually.
I think when we hang up our displays every week too, people that teachers in the school, the parents are really amazed at the level of work our students do and what they produce. And it's kind of like, really, you did that? And, very impressive. And it is a great point that once you get an account, you pretty much have that account. Kids come in and out of the schools. You always get more first graders, second graders every year. But once you have that account and you have that relationship, it's very beneficial for everybody.
Yes, it is.
So, when as a franchise, for anybody who's shopping for a franchise, you do want to look to find out, it could be a great business plan, but have they run the business for an amount of time that we know it works? And the franchisee should be, the franchisor is providing all the tools you need to go run the business. So it was 14 years ago, but how did we do? What kind of tools do you have? And what kind of, how's it working to be with us as a franchisor?
Yeah, it's been great, Betty. I knew from the very beginning, my wife is a partner. We're 50% partners, but she teaches full time elementary school. So she's got 10,000 steps by the time she gets home. So she doesn't have the energy to really help. And it's not necessary. I'm capable of pretty much running the business. I'll say this, if you start up just any type of business, from scratch, there's a lot of nervousness. You don't know what to expect. You're kind of doing everything for the first time. But with Young Rembrandts, and like a lot of franchises probably, what I loved about it, there was a proven business model already in place. When I went to visit you guys for the first week of training and just getting to know everybody in the business, I could clearly see that there's a roadmap, a successful roadmap, that if I follow these steps, which I can do, because you guys lay them out so nicely for us, you follow these steps. And what I said to myself, if all these other people before me could do it, and I met a lot of them, and they're regular people from any different kind of backgrounds, no different than myself. Just looking for something new and exciting. If they could do it and the business model's laid out, why can't I do it? I can follow steps. So that said, there's still always going to be a little bit of nervousness. So for the first couple of years, you're a little nervous. My wife was probably a lot more nervous than I was. But I was never more certain about anything in my life other than when I met my wife, probably, that I knew that this was the right fit for me. I was so fired up, so passionate about it. And what I tell people that are looking at this business or any other business is just find something that makes sense to you, that you're really passionate about, that when you get up every morning, you can't wait to get started on it. You can't wait to positively impact, in this case, children's lives, but just something you're really excited to do. Life is short. I was in my mid-40s, and I'm like, I didn't need to necessarily go back to the engineering field. It was nice, but here was an opportunity to do something and have such a great impact, a lasting impact on children, families, and it's just, to me, it's been amazing. And so, yeah, I love it.
I love it too. Thank you. You've been just such a delight to work with, and I'm so honored by your passion and that you carry that, mission and the passion that is really core into everything you do. And now you have at Young Rembrandts too, we have support coaches. We have, staff, we have support coaches. And even though you're perfectly good at business, tell me what it's like working with a Young Rembrandt support coach.
Yeah, it's great. We meet once a month, just like this, on Zoom calls. And even after, 13 years of the business, sometimes I'm like, do I really need to meet this month? And then I do it because I know I'm going to benefit. And not only that, but I benefit. But at this stage in my career, it's not just about me learning things new and trying to make my business more efficient or what have you, but I'm in a position to give back to others. So when I meet with the coach, hopefully it's a two-way street, and I'm letting them know, hey, please tell the other franchisees, especially the newer ones, about this, that, and the other that I've learned, and they can save themselves a lot of time and energy and anxiety as they go forward, because somebody else has tried that and it doesn't
Yeah.
work, or they tried it and it does work. And so it's a give and take, and it's a nice place to be.
You know, we do have such a culture within amongst our franchisees of sharing. Like, we're not in competition. Everybody gets to win, you know, and we are very intentional about having calls or meetings or, you know, conference every year that we can just share and build those relationships. So it's not just about who can help at a home office, but there's this whole community of other franchisees, the absolute loveliest bunch of people, just having the same heart for kids and working together. I know I'm always amazed at conference. I think, oh my God, look at all these really awesome people, and together we get to do this. So tell me, lifestyle wise, I know that you did always do things in your community, but you've really expanded on that. And I love it because there's so many people that are busy with their full-time corporate jobs, moms and dads, and there isn't, you know, I even remember when my kids were young, there was a lot of volunteers. There were so many more volunteers. There's so much less of that now because when people are working corporate jobs, but you have managed to share yourself in a few other places. Tell me about your scholarships, and then tell us about the Art League.
Sure. So when I started this, I knew I had to get more involved in the art community. And so I found out we had something called the Art Guild of Menominee Falls. So I started attending meetings, and
those are adult artists.
Those are adult artists. So those are people from in and around the community that get together to educate themselves in different art styles and practices, and network and have events where they can possibly show their artwork and sell their artwork. So I got involved in that, and lo and behold, they needed somebody to take over as the president of the board. So I volunteered. It's only once a month that we have meetings and board meetings. So I actually just stepped down after 10 years of being president of that organization. I stepped down, and somebody else is doing it. She's phenomenal. But yeah, so that's been great, getting involved in that whole art. We just had, I was involved with, we just had our largest art event of forever in our community last Saturday. Closed down the street, had over 120 art vendors. I mean, we had chalk artists, we had music, we had food, so I was part of all that. And then, like you said, excuse me, this has allowed me to give scholarships. So once a year, those people that are adults out there that have children graduated from high school know that there are scholarships available for their graduating seniors. And I always said I'd love to own a business where I could give a scholarship. And so for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been giving scholarships out to graduating high school seniors. The only stipulation is that they have had to take Young Rembrandts when they were in elementary school, and they have to do a one-page essay. And I'm getting about 15 applications every year now, and it's just a lot of fun because you go and you get to. I gave them a book on a Dream Manager book, which was part of my life by Matthew Kelly. I get to give them that. It's a great book, but then give them a little bit of money, and just express how important art and creative growth is to people and to community.
And I read a few of those letters, and Oh my gosh, they are just, I don't know how you end up picking one. They're just tremendous. And it really struck me that at 17 or 18, they could name that precisely the moment they kind of clicked or they realized they were creative. And these kids aren't necessarily going on to study art in school. They may be going to do science or, medical, who knows, but they recognized the impact it had on how they felt about themselves or they felt about creating things. And I was just stunned at the different way it affects kids, but I was stunned at their awareness and what it had brought to them.
Yep.
Well, in general, you are always optimistic about life and what's happening, but any closing thoughts or advice for someone who is looking for what's next for them?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned earlier, life is short. It's feels like a little bit of a race at times, especially a lot of households, two adults are working and everybody's just trying to do so much so fast and they don't really have time. That was one of the nice things about COVID. It wasn't nice, obviously, it was horrible. Yes. But what I noticed during COVID, we had a lot more people join the art guild, the most ever joined the art guild, because I think people were reflecting back on, like, now I have all this time by myself because I can't.
What did I used to do? Yeah.
What made me truly happy? So we saw a lot of people, and I've seen art in so many different forms, whether it's murals or artists coming out, working on stuff they haven't done in years. Art has really blossomed since COVID. And so that's a wonderful thing, because art is great for everybody, whether it's just looking at it, putting a picture up in your home, or having your child take an art class or whatever. So I think the importance of art has really blossomed since COVID. But I guess, again, I mentioned it earlier, what I tell people is, whether it's this or something else, just find something that you can really be passionate about, that you want to do, you enjoy doing every day. I mean, I'll work on weekends, not because I have to, because I enjoy it. But find something that you really like to do each and every day. And hopefully, whatever that is, it is something that can have a positive impact on other people in that industry that you're working with and for. That was the most important thing to me, is like, wow, I have an opportunity here to really positively affect a child's trajectory. From one of our conferences, Vince, remember? Mm-hmm. Great speaker we had, but you can alter a child's trajectory just by a hair, and that can affect their life down the road 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that's the way I feel I'm able to work with, and the teachers that I hire are able to work with these children, that in many different ways they can affect that child's trajectory in their life. And it's such a rewarding opportunity and career for me. It's just been a tremendous blessing in my life. And I want to thank you, being the founder. And I want to thank everybody who's ever been involved in Young Rembrandts, all the people that went before me that kind of laid the path. And that path is very smooth. You guys offer tremendous assets, whether it's marketing, curriculum, sales support, whatever support, emotional support. But you have a great model. You have great people in the home office that'll help anybody through what they need. I don't know what other franchises have out there, but you guys certainly would be a model for other businesses to follow. So thank you for everything you've done.
Well, thank you, Don. I think we do make a great team. We are very committed to having the tools, but finding people like you that have the passion. There's some after school activities where it's just keep the kids busy Mom has to work later, but at Young Rembrandts, and you can tell by what Don's saying, we don't take it that casually. We're really teaching a skill that affects the way a child thinks about themselves. It affects their brain structure, their brain function. And so the combination of our curriculum and then our teaching methods and the relationships that allow us to go into those schools, it's a very serious and yet very fun education that we are really working and standing behind. Well, thank you, Don. And again, thank you for 14 years of your passion and enthusiasm for the kids, but also, adult artists. What I love about you doing the Art League is being an artist myself, and my background was in studio arts. Creative people can sometimes just be so busy creating, they don't think about things like communicating or organizing. And so just that you don't have to be a master artist to help the Art League, or to help kids. You have to have a heart to kind of organize an activity or an event or whatever it is so that the arts can flourish and can come forth in people. So thank you, Don, in all the many ways that you've been doing that for kids and adults. So
thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Don. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Drawing Success. If you're inspired by today's episode and want to learn more about owning your own Young Rembrandts franchise, visit us at www.yrfranchise.com. And until next time, keep drawing success.